Hi guys, it's Rachel and welcome back to my channel where I talk about Canadian immigration with a primary focus on international students. Most of you guys that are planning to study or immigrate to Canada via express entry will understand the importance of taking an English proficiency exam. The most commonly used English proficiency exam is the IELTS exam. I myself took the academic IELTS exam when I came to Canada as an international student, and later on I also had to take the general IELTS exam to immigrate to Canada via express entry. But enough about me, let's see how you do well on your IELTS exam. That way you can get into your dream school or help you boost your score for the express entry program. So with that, let me introduce Jessica and Shannon Marshall, the pros that can get you 7 or 8s on your IELTS exam.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us here, Rachel. My name is Shannon and I'm Jessica. And we are both IELTS teachers from New Jersey. We're sisters, obviously, and we're twins. And we run an IELTS website together called IELTSMarshalls. Now, over the past 8 years, we have been helping thousands of students get 7s, 8s, and even higher on their IELTS exam. And we just really love our jobs. We love helping people move to Canada.
Awesome, that's so amazing. And that's primarily why I wanted to work with you guys, so that my viewers can know that this resource exists and that they can use it to their advantage to do well on their IELTS exam. Moving on, let's now discuss the IELTS exam. So basically, let's give them the 411. What is it?
There are 2 types of IELTS exams. The general training, which is for immigration and work, and also the academic, which is for students. Now, for some people who are not too familiar with the IELTS test, there are 4 sections. We have the listening section, reading, writing, and speaking. Now, there are 3 million IELTS tests taken per year from people all over the world. And this is double the number from 10 years ago, which means the IELTS is becoming more and more important. Yes, absolutely. And now most of the tests that are taken are for academic reasons. 78% of all IELTS tests are the academic one. Now, an interesting fact is that people in Germany score the highest around the world on the academic test. In fact, native German speakers do better on the academic test than native English speakers. But in the United States, people do the best on the general training exam overall.
Thank you for sharing that fun fact. But let's now move on to the most awaited part of this video. Let's discuss each component of the IELTS exam. Let's first begin with the speaking category. I want to know, what are examiners looking for in this category?
So basically, the examiners are looking for natural, everyday language. So this means you should pretend you're talking to a neighbor or a friend. Now, the examiner just wants to make sure that you can communicate clearly in English.
Okay, next, and I'm actually really curious about this part. Can you tell me what are the common errors that students make on this particular component or category?
Okay, speaking mistakes. Mistake number 1, people sound too formal and academic. They use words that sound strange and awkward. They use words that native English speakers would never use in real life. So try to sound as natural as possible and keep your tone friendly and informal. Now, mistake number 2, people don't get specific enough on the speaking section. They say very general things like, my mom is kind, my mom is smart, but that doesn't show the examiner that you know specific language about that topic. So if you do say, my mom is kind, give a specific example. You could say, my mom volunteers at the local animal shelter every weekend. And mistake number 3, people tend to speak too quickly. And of course this happens because people are nervous. So just take a deep breath and don't rush.
Awesome. And I guess lastly, what are some tips for improvement or suggestions that you can give to students that are hoping to improve this part?
So yes, absolutely. Practice speaking out loud. Make sure you're practicing a bunch of different topics. And again, saying them out loud. This will help improve fluency and confidence.
Next up, let's go to the reading component. So again, what are examiners looking for in this particular category?
Okay, for the reading section, the grading is pretty straightforward. There are 40 questions, and you need to get as many right as you possibly can. Now, a computer or a Scantron system will grade this part of the exam.
Great. Now, what about the common mistakes?
Okay, so mistake number 1. People quickly skim and scan the reading passages. Now, a lot of people feel like they need to read super fast or else they will run out of time. So this is actually a huge mistake because people waste more time by doing this. They end up missing the answer completely because they're reading too fast. So our advice is to read at a normal pace, not too fast and not too slowly. Now, mistake number 2, people read the passage right away. So don't do this. Always read the questions first and then go back to the passages. Now, mistake number 3, people don't read the directions. So if you have a fill in the blank question and they say you must fill it in with one word, make sure you only write one word.
Lastly, are there any tips for improvement?
Okay, our advice is to take a lot of practice tests. Reading some online news articles in English is just not enough. You need to practice with real tests. So you can go on the Cambridge website, the British Council website, and they have free practice tests online. Also, you could buy a Cambridge book, a Cambridge IELTS book, with authentic examination papers in them. And you can practice those reading tests as well.
Okay, fantastic. Moving on to writing. So this is my favorite category because a lot of us have troubles in getting a high score here. And Jessica and Shannon, I'll probably dissect this category in a separate video with you guys if we have time. But yes, just to keep things consistent, again, what are examiners looking for in this particular category?
Basically, examiners are looking to see that you can write clearly in English, and that's it. They are not looking for fancy words, complicated sentences, or a PhD level dissertation on a topic. No, they just want to see an essay that makes sense. It should answer the question and give some specific details and examples.
Next up, what about the common mistakes that students make for the writing part? And I'm pretty sure that the mistakes you'll mention are probably the ones that I made that's preventing me from getting a 7 on the writing part. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sure you did great. Well, writing tends to be a section that's hard for most people. And along the way, we've noticed some mistakes that people tend to make. And mistake number 1 is that people make their essays really complicated. So they write really big words and really long sentences, and they think this is what it requires to get a 7.5 or an 8. So this is a huge mistake. This will actually lower their score because their essays are too hard to read. So keep the language very simple, keep your words simple and natural, and the sentences should be shorter. Mistake number 2 is that people use really robotic transitions. They use first of all, second of all, third of all, on one hand, on the other hand. So again, these phrases sound really robotic and mechanical. So it sounds like you just memorized some phrases to use on the IELTS exam. So don't do this. Make sure we use natural and specific transitions that match the topic. Now, mistake number 3, people's essays are all over the place. So make sure you have 4 paragraphs, an introduction, 2 main paragraphs, and a conclusion. And make sure you skip a line between each paragraph on the page so that the examiner can clearly see you have 4 paragraphs.
Lastly, do you have any tips for us to improve our writing?
Well, we have a lot of tips that can help you with your writing. You can definitely include 4 paragraphs, like Jessica just mentioned. Also, stay away from words like plethora, aspects, or elements. These words don't sound as natural as you think they do. A lot of people tend to use them. Also, make sure you read 9-level sample essays. You can find them on the Cambridge website, on the British Council website, and you can also find them on our website as well. And just make sure that your essays sound like these high-scoring ones. And of course, practice as much as you can. You can find sample writing topics on the websites I just mentioned.
Last but not least, we have listening. This is probably the most underrated category on the IELTS exam, but guys, take note, it is equally weighted with the other categories. So I'll probably switch up the questions for this part. I want to know, in your opinion, do you think that this is the easiest category to improve on?
We think it could be. A lot of people can improve really fast in a short amount of time. One of our students went from a 6 to an 8 in just a couple of weeks. But he also studied really hard and took a lot of practice tests.
What can students expect from this portion of their exam?
It is possible to see a map or a diagram of some sort and then listen to an audio about it. So you might see a diagram of a library, for instance, and then you have to listen to an audio and fill in the names of the rooms according to what the speaker says. So basically for the listening section, you will listen to 4 audios and then you will answer questions about them. So again, you might get a diagram, you could get multiple choice questions, fill in the blank. There are a lot of different questions you might get.
From my experience taking the IELTS exam, there were parts where I just had to listen carefully and ensure that the word was spelled correctly. And there was even this other part where I had to listen carefully in order to identify the objects in the illustration that they were referring to and answer the questions accordingly. But I want to know, what else is there?
Well, yes, that can definitely happen. Sometimes they might spell someone's last name or a city, and you have to write the letters down, the letters that you heard from the audio. Sometimes they'll give you numbers, maybe like a postcode or the measurements for a box, and you have to write those numbers down correctly. Other questions have like a fill in the blank, where you have to fill in the missing word. And other times, it might just be a multiple choice answer about the audio that you just heard. So as you can see, there are a few different question types, and it can vary.
And lastly, to cap off this segment, can you share some helpful tips to our viewers to improve the listening part of their IELTS exam?
So just like with the reading section, the people who do the best on the listening section take the most practice tests. So this is what we want people to do. We want them to take a listening practice test and then try to get as many right as they can. But of course, it's hard to get all of them right. So then you'll take the same listening test again. This time, we want you to make sure you can hear the right answer in the audio. And once you can confidently get a 40 out of 40 on that one listening test, you can then move on to the next one.
Now, in general, what can you suggest to our viewers that are currently preparing for their IELTS exam, aside from freaking out?
Well, yes, freaking out is definitely a part of it. But also, you can take practice tests online. You can find them on the Cambridge website, British Council, and IDP websites as well. And these are the tests that most closely resemble the real test. So stay with those and don't try to find too many other websites online. These will actually help you the most. They won't be too difficult or too easy, and they'll actually look like the real thing. You should also buy at least one Cambridge book. And the Cambridge book should have authentic examination papers in them. Each one of these books has 4 tests that you can practice with.
I understand that you are currently offering your services to help others improve on their IELTS exam. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
So as we mentioned before, we have our own IELTS website. It's called IELTSMarshalls.com. So when you go to our website, you can sign up and get emails from us once a week with our IELTS advice. Also, we'll give you a free IELTS writing guide that has 3 powerful strategies, a sample essay, and 10 study tips. Now, we also offer online video courses. And these are also designed to help people get high scores on all sections of the exam. So we're opening up registration for our course. Get a 7.5 or higher in 30 days. So as the title of the course suggests, we'll be giving you a 30-day study plan. Everything is provided in the course, including authentic practice tests. Also in the course, we'll be correcting your writing and conducting a mock speaking exam with you. Yeah, so we have these services, and we always provide one-on-one private classes for people who need them. And we also provide some writing correction services as well. We always answer our emails, so just send us an email, tell us what you need, and we're happy to help.
By the way, guys, I'll be sharing all the relevant information about them and where you can find them in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. I also have a promo code with them, and it's Rrdancel, so use that if you want to avail their services and you want to save a little bit of money.
Thank you again so much for having us here. We had a great time talking about the IELTS with you. We just love your channel and your community. And to everyone watching this video, we want to wish you good luck on your IELTS exam. If your test is coming up soon, we encourage you to sign up for our video course. We would absolutely love to help you get the scores you need to study in Canada or move to Canada as quickly as possible. And I guess that's it for now. So thank you so much again for having us. We had a great time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, IELTS Marshals, for joining me today and for front-loading all that valuable information to help my viewers prepare for their IELTS exam. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be safe and be kind. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.